Hey everybody, welcome back to Travel Trailer Nation. This is my crude model showing you cabinet construction in travel trailers, at least in my travel trailer, and probably I've seen this in every travel trailer I've purchased except maybe the Coachman, which was like freaking outstanding as far as cabinetry went. So 2 years ago I ended up rebuilding the cabinet next to the couch as you face it on the left side. And now I'm faced with doing it on the right side. So I want to talk to you about why two-sided cabinets in trailers is a mistake. You may have heard or read that Amish craftsmen have built the cabinetry in your trailer, and that's probably true, except they're building them to what the manufacturer wants them to build. So I wanted to just tell you that it's not the kind of cabinetry you're going to get at home by any means. Not only is it probably cheaper from a wood perspective, but the construction is substandard for the most part. And I've built quite a few pieces of furniture, so and I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, it's just that I have some background in being able to build things. I'll throw a couple pictures up. So I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but I wanted to show you how this particular cabinet's constructed, and believe me, I'm gonna do a video on rebuilding it, and I'll show you what conditions. The base of it couldn't even hold a 2-pound sink cover. So this is basically an imitation of what's in the trailer. This is the door that you would open to go in that cabinet, and then there's a floor, and when you remove that floor, this is what you have, basically. Just trim strips along the wall, the outside wall of the coach, and then you don't even have a trim strip in the back. And then on this side, you'll have a small trim strip that's been stapled in to this very thin piece of plywood, if it's even that, on the inside where the couch sits. So really there's no wall. Why I say it's two-sided is you basically have this side with the door, and then you have the side that goes up against the couch, and that's it. I can't think of a worse type of construction than this. Now I'm sure there's a strip up along the top too, you know, that holds that whole piece down, but at least that one's reinforced over here. So this is why I'm a little disgusted with the industry and the way that they slap things together. And why would they do that? Well, there's two reasons. One, maybe even three, but the first reason is they want to keep the trailer light. That's what they'll tell you. The second reason is they're saving money by not building a cabinet the correct way. And third, I'm sure that it's much less expensive to build it that way, and they're able to produce them faster, kick them out the door, and get on with life. Well, let me tell you what. The plywood that I bought, I believe it's birch, I'm not sure, but I'd have to look back again. It's 1/4 inch. The whole 2x4 sheet that I bought is 6 pounds. Okay, I'm gonna be able to rebuild the whole base of that cabinet and still have a lot of wood left over, and I bought a 1x1 stringer or something like that for actually building the bottom base part. And the only reason that I'm doing that is that I am gonna make the whole base out of wood. So I'm gonna run probably a 4-inch piece on each side going along, and then it's gonna have stringers that are nailed into it, and then another plywood base that's gonna go on top. And then there'll still be some room left to actually put the old piece of base on top of that, and so that it looks like it did when I bought the trailer. It's probably going to be, I don't know, at least a few weeks to a month before I get to the point where I can pull the trailer out and actually do that. But I'll film the whole thing so you can see what I did, because you may want to do the same thing when this happens to you. And I don't say if it happens to you, when it happens to you. There are a lot of cabinets built like this through the trailer. I'll bet if you go into your bedroom and open a cabinet on either side of the bed, you will probably see wall on one side. So that again is another basically two-sided cabinet. I'm trying to think, there's probably at least one or two other ones that just don't come to mind right away. I know on the cabinet that is facing one of our walls that comes out, there's nothing on one side of it. If I were to do this the way I'd really like to do, I would probably pull both those side cabinets out and actually give them full four-wall construction and cut holes for where the wires are coming in, because in those cabinets back by the couch, you have wires that go to riding lights and brake lights and turn signals. So I will have to account for that. And so when I build that piece that goes on the floor all the way around, I will be notching out some sections there so that the wires don't ever get pinched or anything. Now, what's really dangerous about this cabinet construction is if you don't know any better and you piled some stuff up in there and you're going down the road and that whole cabinet collapses, the base of it, chances are it's going to hit those wires back there. And I'm not saying it's going to start a fire, but you may short out your lights there. So I would be very careful with anything that I put in there. If that cabinet can't even hold a 2-pound sink cover for a number of years, I'm not sure what would be safe to put in there. But now I'm wishing I would have torn that cabinet apart when I had the chance, when I reinforced the other one. But, you know, such is life. So anyway, I will keep you guys up to date. Matter of fact, I think what I will probably do is add the construction of the cabinet onto this video right here so you can see what I'm doing, along with a picture of what it looks like right now, which is pretty ugly. So that's it. Hey, let's look at the video. All right, this could be a little bit hard to see, maybe, but if you look down along the side here, I'm gonna bring the flashlight down, see how that trim strip that's supposed to hold that panel up is obviously broken away and it's laying down inside. And then up front, you can see it's flexed to the point where it's cracked here. And then God only knows what's going on this side over here. So stay tuned, let me take this apart. I'll be right back. All right, so this is the mess I'm left with. So you can see that board completely gone, was stapled in cheaply from the other side. Then, oddly, they used a couple screws here, which still seem to be holding it somewhat, but obviously that's not a good solution. So then you got to deal with these wires on the floor. One goes to an outlet, one goes to a riding light, and the other go to brake riding light. So I've got to deal with that stuff when I plan for my cutouts. So back in a minute when I show you what I'm going to do. All right, guys. I am really sorry about the noise, and the darkness. This is what I am going to replace that section that runs along the outside of the wall, because that trim strip, even though it had a couple screws in it, they just pulled right out. They weren't going into anything. So this will sit along the wall, and then I'm going to make an identical piece on the other side. And now you notice this doesn't go all the way. Never mind about that. That's not going to really play a role in anything. But this is notched out because for about that far, there's a hole where the wires go out to the riding light. So I needed to notch it. Then when this sits in there and its counter piece is on the other side, I will put another piece of 1/4 inch plywood on top, and then it'll be fastened down all along here and along the top of the other one. And then I'm going to put a couple stringers going across from this board to the board across, so it'll be like a very heavy duty box. And I'll show you when I get ready to put the top in, so you kind of get it. And then the piece that was bent up, that was the original top, if you could call it that, I'm going to lay that on top. I left enough space so that it should butt up and still have a tiny little lip so that nothing can slide out of that drawer. So, hey, back in a minute. Okay, one thing you will have to do if you're gonna do this the way I did is you will need to notch the corners out to match the notching in the old panel, because there are some pieces of bracing that come up in the corners on one side of the cabinet. So anyway, that's about the only thing you'll really have to worry about as far as small cuts. Everything else is, you know, pretty large cuts. So now I'm just going to cut some bracing and go in and fasten that down. Okay, as you can see, I have attached some braces going across from the old wood to the new wood, and I was very careful to get all the wires out of the way and had to refasten that coax right there with a clip. All I have to do now is drop the new plate in between the two pieces of new plywood that I put in there, and it will sit down flat. I just got to get to the point where I can make that happen. There we go. Perfect. I just had to wedge it in there between the two pieces of plywood, and that cabinet, that's going nowhere. You probably stand on it, have no problem. So I'm gonna take my nail gun and nail the sides into the strips that it's setting on, and then I'm gonna put the original very thin piece of color matched plywood back on top and staple that in. Okay guys, sorry about how dark it is in here, but that's the finished product. It ain't going anywhere. It's solid as a rock. All right, you're probably wondering what's next. Travel trailer, campground, dog, beer. That's what's next. So this project took about 3 hours, I think. There's just, you know, there's a moderate amount of cutting wood and measuring and coming back in and kind of dry fitting things, and of course I had to move some wires around. It might have been closer to 2 hours, I'm not sure. But the long and the short is, it's an easy project you can do. I mean, you'd be able to figure this stuff out if you know, if your base collapses. Just take everything out and look how it was constructed and do better. That's the key. Make it a lot stronger than what's in there. This is what happens when I work. I get all messed up. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope that shows you that, you know, there's ways that you can reinforce things if they fall apart. And as I mentioned, there's at least probably 3 other cabinets in the trailer that are two-sided like that. If I don't expect those, I think the construction on those was a little bit more hefty, so I'm not really expecting any problems. But these in the back next to the couch definitely were a mistake. I don't think they should construct them that way. Now, one thing that I was thinking is, if I ever have to get to the wires there, I will have to tear the cabinet apart again. I don't want to do that, so hopefully I never have any issues with the wiring back there. I doubt I will. But if I do, I would absolutely have to take the cabinets apart to get to it and figure it out. Not a big deal. I mean, once you put them together, taking them apart should be easy. So that's it. Until next time, happy cabinet repair. Just drop the new plate in. Which well, let's see. We'll probably do this. Dang it. Where's that turn? Like that? Like that? Okay.